Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're digging into WalletConnect, or WCT. We're using their project report from, let's see, April 11th, 2025.
That's right. Pretty recent stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And our goal isn't just, a surface level look. We want to really unpack what it is, how it works, and maybe most importantly, what its future could mean for you.
Yep, cutting through the jargon to the core value.
This report's quite detailed, tech, tokenomics, roadmap, the whole nine yards. So let's dive in. First things first. What is WalletConnect, really?
Well, fundamentally, WalletConnect is trying to solve a pretty major pain point in Web3.
Okay.
It's all about letting user wallets, your crypto wallet and these decentralized apps or dApps talk to each other smoothly, even if they're on completely different blockchains.
Ah, so it's like a bridge, or maybe like a universal adapter.
Yeah, universal adapter is a great way to put it. It's not another wallet you need. It helps the wallet you already have, like your MetaMask or your Coinbase wallet, connect to all sorts of dApps out there.
Gotcha. So it makes things play nicely together in this kind of decentralized web.
Exactly. And the report breaks down how they do it into sort of three main pieces. First, there's a decentralized network. So instead of one company controlling everything, messages get passed around by lots of different node operators. More robust that way.
Right. No single point of failure. Makes sense.
Second, they offer SDKs, software development kits. These are basically prepackaged tools that make it way easier for developers to actually build WalletConnect support into their apps.
Cuts down on the work for them, I guess.
Definitely. And the third thing is open standards. This is super important because it creates a common language. It means all these different apps, wallets, even the blockchains themselves can understand each other when they communicate via WalletConnect.
Open standards. Yeah, you really need that for widespread adoption, don't you? The report mentioned WalletConnect's been around a while. 7 years.
Yeah, 7 years. And they've already handled a, frankly, huge number of connections. The report says around 275 million connections.
Wow.
Yep. For about 45 million users.
Yeah.
And that's across something like 61,500 different apps and 600 or so wallet types.
Okay, those numbers are pretty staggering. It really shows how much this kind of plumbing is needed in Web3.
Absolutely. It's become pretty foundational infrastructure.
Okay, so that's the what.
Yeah.
Let's get into the how. How does this network actually, make the magic happen behind the scenes?
So the report gives a high-level look at the architecture. They mention these gateway nodes. Think of them like traffic directors. They manage the flow of connection requests, balance the load, keep things running smoothly.
Okay, traffic cops.
Kinda, yeah. Then you have the service nodes. These are actually run by 16 different groups around the world. Their job is more about caching messages and delivering them in real time between the wallet and the dApp.
And it's all secure, I assume?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh.
The report emphasizes that all the communication is end-to-end encrypted, so your interactions are private between your wallet and the app you're connecting to. Crucial stuff.
Definitely. And you mentioned before it works across different blockchains. It's chain agnostic currently.
Correct. That's a big part of its value prop. It's not tied to just one ecosystem like Ethereum or Solana.
But they're not stopping there, right? The report talk about planned upgrades.
Yeah, they've got some interesting things in the pipeline to make the user experience even better. Stuff like smart sessions, maybe making it easier to manage if you're connected to lots of apps.
That could be useful.
And then there's gas abstraction. This one's potentially huge. It could, hide some of the complexity around paying transaction fees, the gas fees, maybe even handle them for you in some way.
Okay, taking away that friction point.
Exactly. And the big one is chain abstraction.
Mm.
The idea there is maybe in the future you wouldn't even need to know or care which blockchain you're interacting with. It would just work seamlessly.
Wow. Chain abstraction, if they can nail that, that really does sound like a game changer for bringing more people into Web3.
It really does. Huge potential.
All right, let's switch gears a bit and talk about the token. WCT. What's its actual job in this whole ecosystem? What does it do?
So the WCT token has a few key roles right now and more planned. Currently, it's really important for running and securing the network. This happens through staking.
Staking, okay. How does that work?
Well, those node operators we mentioned, they have to stake WCT tokens to even be allowed to participate in relaying messages. It's like putting down a security deposit.
Skin in the game.
Precisely. And regular token holders, like you, can also stake WCT. By doing that, you help secure the network further, and you also get to participate in governance voting on proposals about the protocol's future.
So holding the token gives you a voice.
It does. Plus, there are performance-based rewards. The network actually pays out WCT to both the nodes and potentially wallets based on how well they perform, things like being online consistently, handling connections efficiently, quality of service. It keeps everyone incentivized to run a good operation.
Interesting. So it's baked into the network's health. What about those future uses? The report listed quite a few possibilities.
Yeah, they're thinking bigger picture too. One major potential use is paying for network fees directly with WCT once those fees are implemented.
Right. Makes sense.
They're also looking at using WCT to uh, incentivize the community to help improve the user experience, maybe offering rewards or bounties for contributions.
Okay. Harnessing the community.
Could be quite powerful.
Yeah.
Other ideas mentioned were things like seasonal voting, using WCT to maybe highlight preferred wallets, getting access to beta testing programs if you hold the token, or even getting early access to partnerships with new dApps.
So perks for holders and participants.
Exactly. And it might also tie into this app certified program they mentioned, possibly requiring apps to stake WCT to get certified and letting token holders govern the criteria for that certification.
Sounds like they're trying to create a whole feedback loop where the token encourages good behavior and participation.
That seems to be the goal, yeah. Building a thriving ecosystem around it.
Okay, let's get into the nitty-gritty, the tokenomics. The numbers side of things. Supply, distribution. What did the report say?
Right, tokenomics. So the total supply is fixed at 1 billion WCT. That's the max that will ever exist. And currently, these tokens live on the Optimism mainnet.
1 billion, got it. How much is actually out there circulating?
As of the report date, April 2025, the circulating supply was about 103.2 million WCT. So just over 10% of the total.
Only 10%.
Yeah, but that number is set to increase. They expect it to reach around 186.2 million, or roughly 18.6%, once the tokens become fully transferable, which is a key upcoming step.
Ah, transferability. That seems like the big unlock event everyone's waiting for. The report mentions several token sales happened already.
Yes, quite a few. There were token warrants from earlier funding rounds. Those got fulfilled back in November 2024, but they come with a pretty long lockup.
Yeah.
4 years total, with a 1-year cliff first, so those aren't hitting the market anytime soon.
Okay, long-term holders there. What about more recent sales?
They did a private round for early backers, then public sales through platforms like Bitget and CoinList. There was also a smaller private sale called Echo. An interesting point is that these different sales had different lockup terms, which is pretty standard practice to kind of stagger the release of tokens.
Right, manage the supply flow. And didn't Binance get involved too for wider distribution?
They did. Binance had a launch pool where users could stake crypto to earn WCT, 40 million tokens allocated there. And they also did a Learn and Earn campaign, giving out another 10 million WCT for completing educational stuff about WalletConnect.
Okay, so reaching a broad audience through Binance.
Exactly. The report even gives an estimate for what they call the day one real float percent, basically the percentage of tokens likely to be actively tradable right when it lists. They estimated that around 16.37% gives you a sense of the initial available supply.
That's helpful context for market dynamics. And the overall allocation of the full 1 billion tokens, where are they all designated to go?
Yeah, the report breaks that down nicely. You've got chunks allocated for those public and private sales we discussed, various airdrops for users and partners, ongoing staking rewards, marketing, the Binance user allocations, the team, foundation treasury, etc. Each has its percentage.
And they're pretty open about it.
Seems so. They even provide the actual on-chain wallet addresses for things like the airdrop claims contract, the staking rewards distributor, and the main foundation treasury. That level of transparency is generally a good sign in this space.
Definitely builds trust. Okay, let's look ahead. The roadmap. What have they ticked off already, and what's coming next?
So looking back, they've already navigated the initial phases, moving from more centralized setups to the current permission network. They completed the token generation event, or TGE, did the first big airdrop, launched the staking and governance systems, and finished those token sales.
So groundwork laid.
Pretty much. And they specifically flag April 2025 as a big month, hitting all the requirements for making WCT transferable and announcing that first exchange listing on OKX.
Right, so transferability is the immediate focus now in Q2 2025.
Exactly. Q2 is all about getting the token out there and usable. That means actually flipping the switch on transferability, getting listed on exchanges. They mentioned plans for Ethereum and Solana-compatible exchanges specifically, plus rolling out the Solana ecosystem airdrop.
Oh, Solana users getting some love too.
Yep. And also launching a refreshed staking program. Sounds like it'll have some new features, like maybe allowing multiple staking positions and forming strategic partnerships around staking, and introducing wallet-based rewards is also on the Q2 list.
Busy quarter. What about looking further out the rest of 2025 into 2026?
So Q3 2025, the plan is to bring more node operators online, continuing that decentralization push. And importantly, holding a governance vote on potentially introducing network fees paid in WCT. They'll also be working on the technical design for a fully permissionless network.
Okay, permissionless is the end goal, it sounds like.
That's the direction. Q4 aims for launching a testnet for that permissionless system. More exchange listings are planned too, including targeting local exchanges and expanding support to other chains like Arbitrum and Base. Another round of airdrops is slated for Q4, plus their big event, WalletCon 4.0.
WalletCon, okay. And 2026?
2026 is where we see the potential implementation of those network fees, assuming the vote passes. Also, more technical work on things like permission gateway nodes, and then the big one, the launch of the full permissionless mainnet. It's definitely an ambitious multi-year plan.
Ambitious indeed. It shows a clear long-term vision. Now, besides the tech roadmap, are they actually getting integrated? The report mentioned business development, partnerships.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's not just theoretical. They highlighted several grant agreements they've signed with projects already building in Web3.
Like who?
Names like OkaTrade, which aggregates DeFi protocols, Peanut.2, working on cross-chain payments, Anybody.gg, ChainGPT, which uses AI for blockchain education, CreatorBid, focused on AI agent tokenization, and WolfSwap, another DeFi aggregator.
Some interesting names there across DeFi and AI.
It shows there's real demand from other projects wanting to integrate WalletConnect's tech. It's a sign of actual adoption happening.
Good to see. And finally, if listeners want to follow along, maybe get involved in the community, where should they look?
They're pretty active across the usual channels. The report lists their official Twitter, Warpcast, YouTube, their blog, Telegram groups, the main website, of course, and GitHub for the more technically minded folks. Plenty of ways to stay plugged in.
Great. Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. We've seen WalletConnect is aiming to be this essential connective tissue for Web3, making it easier for your wallet to interact with everything out there.
Right. Simplifying that whole interaction layer across different chains.
And the WCT token is key to how that network runs security, governance, incentives with plans to make it even more central in the future.
Yep. Integral to the function and growth.
Plus, they've got this multi-stage roadmap leading towards a fully permissionless network.
A very clear, if ambitious, path forward.
And stepping back, the big takeaway for you, the listener, is that projects like WalletConnect are really trying to smooth out the bumps in the road for using Web3.
Exactly. It's about lowering those barriers, abstracting away the complexity. The goal is to make using a dApp feel, eventually, just as easy as using any regular app today, without you having to worry so much about the underlying blockchain tech.
Which leads us to that final thought to chew on. If WalletConnect and similar tech succeed in creating this truly interconnected Web3, what does that unlock? When the walls between chains and apps really start to come down, what completely new kinds of applications or user experiences could pop up? And maybe more fundamentally, what role does this decentralized infrastructure play in the bigger picture of the future of the internet, how we think about digital ownership?
Yeah, fascinating questions. It really could reshape a lot of how we interact online and manage digital value. Definitely a space worth watching closely.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for digging into this with us on the Deep Dive.